What's up, everybody? Mark with Coffee and Toys here. It is Marvel Monday. That means we are continuing our review of the original Marvel run of G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero. And I gotta tell you, we are diving into another great issue today. I've actually read it a few times now. And something I need to ask the channel before we get too far into this is, let me know in the comments below if you want me to break this out issue by issue, or if you want me to consolidate it into the storyline, because this is the beginning of a very long story arc that's going to be at least 3 or 4 issues long. First part, obviously, I've done just as a single issue, but let me know in the comments if you want me to continue this issue by issue or to chunk it out a little larger. But with that being said, Marvel Monday begins now. But of course, before we get into reviewing today's issue of G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero, let's talk about the coffee you are drinking right now. The coffee I'm drinking right now, and the coffee that you should be drinking right now, is none other than CoffeeBrandCoffee.com. Yes, every week, every episode, you're going to hear me talk about CoffeeBrandCoffee.com because I like no frills, I like no gimmicks, I just like coffee. I like hot coffee. Some people like cool coffee, or cold brew coffee, whatever it's called. People like that, drop me a comment and tell me why you like that, because it's an abomination. Coffee is meant to be warm. But that being said, Coffee Brand Coffee can deliver iced brews for you. They can deliver hot coffee, hot cocoa, candies, nuts, everything. And if you use my discount code Coffee&Toys, COFFEENTOYS, you can save yourself 5% on your first order or your 100th order. Or you can use the link in the description down below. And because it's been specially requested, the coffee in my camper mug today from CoffeeBrandCoffee.com is number 5, the bourbon coffee. That's right. I've had a lot of you asking about the bourbon coffee. I ordered it as soon as I could, got it in the mail late last week, and I've been drinking it. And I tell you what, you want an awesome smelling coffee and a really good tasting coffee, bourbon coffee is the way to go. I am not a huge coffee flavored fan, but this one is a nice treat. If you like bourbon, you're not going to miss with this. It is absolutely fantastic. It is a medium roast, so you're not, it's not too dark, it's not too light. It's just that middle of the road path. But with the bourbon infusion, great smell, great taste. And yeah, here's to you. So yeah, CoffeeBrandCoffee.com. Make sure you check them out. I'm going to set my coffee right here, though, for a moment, because we have got a big issue today. This is going to be what is basically the first long arc of a story, and really starts getting us into kind of what G.I. Joe starts turning into, I believe, where the story is never really finished. It's just always going to be the next, it's going to be episodic, almost like a soap opera at this point. There's going to be some single issues in between there, but this issue is going to be the start of a longer story arc that's just going to continue to run, going to continue to introduce us to new characters. So, with that being said, G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero, issue number 12. That's right, we've hit the 1-year mark when it comes to G.I. Joe. It came out in June of 1983, and it is entitled 3 Strikes for Snake Eyes. Once again, the writer is Larry Hama. We've got penciler Mike Vosberg, inker John DiAgostino, letterer Joe Rosen, colorist Glynis Ween, editor-in-chief is Jim Shooter, and your normal editor for the book is Denny O'Neil. So, that being said, we start the issue off with a chase scene, downtown San Francisco, 3 in the afternoon. The G.I. Joe team made up of Scarlet, Breaker, and Clutch are chasing a Cobra van after Cobra has stolen some missile guidance chips. After a long street chase, which involves going, the Cobra van blowing directly through a car and this guy with a buzz haircut, or a mohawk, I should say, his car gets completely destroyed. Then the G.I. Joe team flies through the same wreckage. And then there's an old couple that the Cobra van winds up crashing into. And there's some hilarity with how the old couple's arguing. Not really my taste, but it's funny jokes, haha. The van winds up crashing into this second car completely, and the Cobra, one of the 2 Cobra troopers that are driving, or in this vehicle, one was a driver, one was a passenger. The passenger actually gets out at the very last moment, jumps out the back of the van before it wrecks, catches on fire, and he takes off. And the one thing to note about this particular Cobra operative is the very distinctive double scar going down each side of his face. And that's right, for those of us who remember, or even if you don't remember from the comics, you collected the action figures in the modern era, this is Scarface. Now, we never really know what his true name is. He's known as Scarface, so that's what I am going to call him throughout the remainder of this issue. Scarface makes his first appearance. Breaker winds up catching up with this Cobra Trooper, aka Scarface. But Scarface is able to knock Breaker into a group of really rough and tough bikers. And of course, they don't realize that what's actually going on, and they just start roughing up Breaker as Scarface gets away. Scarlet shows up, levels the playing field by taking a grazing shot at one of the bikers. That scares them off. But at this point, Scarface is getting away. Clutch actually goes to chase him down and gets shot in the leg by Scarface. And with that, he gets away, but they go back to review, or rather to investigate the burning wreckage of the van, and they noticed that some of the packing crates have Attention Senior K. Wynn. And of course, that can only mean Quinn, who we last saw in issue number 2. So with this being said, they radio back to the Pentagon, and General Flagg is deep in the basement of the Pentagon. And he has up on the screen, they're looking over this information that Scarlet has uploaded to them via Breaker. And when they get that visual from San Francisco, Flagg calls out that hey, we need to send someone to this location, which is listed as Sierra Gordo. So if you're familiar with the comics, you know that Sierra Gordo is a very prominent location in the G.I. Joe mythos. So this is our first, essentially, notification of Sierra Gordo. With that being said, Flagg calls for an infiltration team that is going to find out where these missile guidance ships are going, and he decides that's going to be Stalker, Breaker, Gung Ho, and Snake Eyes. So the next day, we have the G.I. Joes. They are in Rio Lindo, which I assume is a town in Sierra Gordo or somewhere near that location. And Stalker and Breaker are in their civvies, while Gung Ho and Snake Eyes are hanging back a little bit off the path. And they go, they're doing their recon, they're in this local town, and they come up on a place that says Najahana Video Corporation. Now, what I didn't mention earlier was that these chips were stored in boxes full of video game parts, or circuits, I think is what they say. And that it belonged to a company called Najahana Video Corporation. Well, Najahana, we learn, is actually just King Cobra. So, as you can see, this is a ploy to, or a what do you want to call it? A hidden meaning behind it. So, they go knocking on this door, and they're pretending, Stalker and Breaker are pretending, hey, we buy video games. And none other than Dr. Venom opens the door. That's right, the same Dr. Venom we have seen in previous issues. And he brings Stalker and Breaker in. And in the meantime, Snake Eyes and Gung Ho are hanging back, doing their recon. And Snake Eyes realizes, even though it's just for a brief moment, that was Dr. Venom that opened the door. And Snake Eyes makes a buzz straight for this building. Gung Ho quickly follows him, and Gung Ho actually runs into a local, literally knocking the local over as he's trying to get to the building with Snake Eyes. And when the sombrero or whatever he's wearing falls off his head, we realize that he knocked over Scarface. Yes, that's right. Gung Ho, realizing this is the person who shot Clutch from the debriefing, wants to get Scarface, and Snake Eyes holds him back and basically points at the building saying, that is our mission, to get in there and secure those microchips. Back inside, Dr. Venom quickly realizes this is a sham and these are the G.I. Joe team, because he's like, nobody should be coming here asking for video games unless they're from Cobra, and you're clearly not from Cobra. He snaps his fingers, a whole bunch of Cobra troops show up, and there is a massive firefight that begins. The Joe team of Breaker and Stalker are pinned down because they are low on weapons. Luckily, Snake Eyes and Gung Ho also show up as well. And fight gets even. Matter of fact, the G.I. Joe team actually winds up overtaking the Cobra troops, and they have now taken into custody the Cobra troopers and Dr. Venom. But before we can get these folks out of the building, a large 30 cal makes its appearance and starts shooting and manages to disarm all the G.I. Joe team except Snake Eyes. And yes, Quinn has finally shown up. Quinn makes a quick little quip to Snake Eyes saying, I didn't shoot yours out of your hand because I realized that I think he says it like the it was locked or something like that. Snake Eyes hadn't unlocked his gun or something like that. That's why he didn't shoot out Snake Eyes' hand. And the Cobra troops are freed. Dr. Venom's freed, and they basically say, or Dr. Venom says, we're going to take the three G.I. Joe operatives up the river, Stalker, Breaker, and Gung Ho, to our secret location. We're going to take the chips with us. But this guy, this Snake Eyes, I want to do some interrogating on him. And then he immediately begins to pistol whip the hell out of Snake Eyes. I mean, just bap, 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 smacking him repeatedly over the face. And Quinn stops him and says, hey, part of my contract was that nobody died. I was supposed to secure these microchips for you, and that's it. Well, Cobra Trooper comes up, checks out Snake Eyes, and says, dude, you killed him. He's dead. He's not breathing. Can't get a heartbeat. He's gone. So they say, fine, drag him into the warehouse. And they drag him in the warehouse. They take the 3 other Joes onto the boat, and they light the warehouse on fire and then leave on the boat. Now, as they are as they're sailing away on this boat, Dr. Venom is looking at the smoke that's coming off the warehouse, and he says, wow, that smoke almost looks like incense, the way it's flowing out, billowing out. And then he starts to quickly remember in the past when he had Snake Eyes in the brainwave scanner that Snake Eyes is a trained ninja. And he quickly realizes that he has been duped again by Snake Eyes being able to make himself appear to be dead, much like he did in an earlier issue with the brainwave scanner. Dr. Venom's beside himself, and he screams, he lives. But it's too late. They're already down the river. So, with that being said, we go back to the warehouse, and at this point, the warehouse is burning down, and Snake Eyes is obviously still alive. He is trying to break himself out of the warehouse, all the while he is on fire. He is literally Burning Man, and he manages to kick the door down, rush out while still tied up, and jumps into the river. And that is all we see of Snake Eyes for a little while. Now, we go back upriver, and Quinn is... he's ready for his contract to be up. It's obvious he does not like working with Dr. Venom whatsoever. And he says, once we get these chips delivered, I'm done with you guys. Dr. Venom smugly says, good riddance to you. And they continue to argue. And while they're arguing, the G.I. Joe team actually says, Breaker has the idea. He spits out his gum. As we know, Breaker's always chewing gum. And he mixes it in with his hands tied up against the ropes. He's mixing the gum with the ropes because there happens to be a lot of rats on this boat. Not a huge surprise in South America or wherever they're at. And the rats begin nibbling at the gum, which in turn means they're starting to chew on the ropes. And the goal is for the 3 Joes to get rescued by these rats, or at least enough to break them out, their bindings. With that being said, less than a mile downriver, there's this local guy, and he's in his boat. Sorry about that break. Continuing on. Meanwhile, there's this local guy on his boat that's about a mile down the river, and he's minding his own business, and suddenly Snake Eyes emerges from the water, commandeers the boat, and goes chasing after the main Cobra boat. Now, that main Cobra boat has now docked at a small island in the river with a bunker on top of it, or on it. So as the Cobra forces are unloading, Baroness is there, and Baroness is livid that Dr. Venom did not confirm that Snake Eyes was dead. Dr. Venom tries to play it off and says, oh, he has to be dead. He was left in the warehouse tied up. He was already half dead anyway. Of course, we all know that Dr. Venom's lying because he realized that Snake Eyes was still alive when they left. That being said, the 3 Joes are left outside, and they're being guarded by a small group of Cobra troopers. And Dr. Venom and Scarface go inside with the Baroness and Quinn. As these Joes are left outside, they are finally able to loosen their ropes enough, thanks to that little trick with the rats and the bubblegum earlier. And as they're doing that, Snake Eyes actually appears, helps get them out of their bindings as well. But then as the Joes go to try to take out the bunker, or to attack the bunker, Snake Eyes stops them, points back at the boat. He actually pushes Breaker back into the boat. Essentially signaling to them that, hey, your mission is to get those chips and get as far away as you possibly can, because that's primary objective. I'm going to take out everybody in the bunker. So, I mean, again, he's not saying this, but he's miming it and the things that Snake Eyes does. The other 3 Joes realize that is what's going to happen. They say, fine. They take off on the boat with the chips, and Snake Eyes goes on to attack the bunker. Inside the bunker, however, Dr. Venom rather is revealing his newest creation, which is this serum that, when interacted with this non-deadly, non-lethal virus, when mixed together, it makes this virus very deadly. And that is going to be Cobra's future move going forward, is to somehow utilize this virus. And as they're talking about it, the Cobra courier for this is going to be Scarface. He's talking, Dr. Venom saying, hey, you're going to take the serum, you're going to take the virus. You and Baroness are going to leave with this. And Baroness kind of gives Dr. Venom a hard time, saying, why are you telling us how long it took you and all this stuff? He's like, I'm just telling you, don't let the two mix together. And so they have this these little quips back and forth, and Quinn suddenly realizes something is going on. And he realizes Snake Eyes is attempting to attack the bunker. So as that's happening, Snake Eyes begins attacking the bunker. But Baroness and Scarface, they make off in this plane, which is parked at the island as well. Snake Eyes is battling Quinn and Dr. Venom. And during all this, Venom is actually getting ready to murder Quinn. I mean, like I said, they have some strong animosity for one another. But Snake Eyes actually jumped down on him, began beating Dr. Venom mercilessly. So I guess his comeuppance for pistol whipping Snake Eyes earlier. And Quinn realizes that Dr. Venom was indeed going to try to kill him as well. But that being said, as Baroness and the courier, Scarface, are taking off, Quinn goes, well, the Joe team on the boat is not going to fare well because it's a boat against a plane. And with that being said, the Baroness radios Cobra HQ saying, hey, we've got the virus and the serum, and we are going to deliver it, but not before blowing up the boat on the river with the 3 Joes on it. Now, fortunately, the 3 Joes were able to get away before the bomb hit the boat, so that's all good. But meanwhile, Snake Eyes is back on the island. He is fighting with Dr. Venom, and Baroness essentially gets commands from Cobra HQ. Hey, we don't need Dr. Venom anymore. We've got the serum and the virus. We don't need Quinn. Take out Snake Eyes. 3-for-1 deal. Baroness flies back towards the bunker and drops another payload directly on the bunker. And with that being said, the 3 Joes left floating on the debris of the boat from the river watch helplessly as it seems like their friend and comrade Snake Eyes, alongside Quinn and Dr. Venom, have been killed. And that's the end of the issue. Let me know what you think about it. This, like I said, this is a fun issue because we are starting to build upon things that will constantly come back up again in the G.I. Joe universe. Sierra Gordo, obviously, like I said, a big location that plays out many, many, many times throughout the years, through all iterations of a real American hero. Quinn shows up again. I always like seeing Quinn. Quinn is a fan favorite of a lot of fans, including myself. Scarface shows up, which I never knew anything personally about Scarface until I bought the action figure back in, 2008, 2009, when he came with a comic 2-pack. That was my first knowledge of Scarface, because I never had the original early issues of G.I. Joe as a child. So that was really cool. Scarface shows up. He's a prominent Cobra right now, even though in this issue he's more just a courier. Again, we get to see Gung Ho in the issue. Breakers use a lot, but really Snake Eyes is the star of the show. And that's going to be a theme moving forward, obviously. Larry likes Snake Eyes. We all like Snake Eyes. And I want to know if you like this video yet. Make sure you drop a like on this video. Make sure you hit that subscribe button because, of course, that helps out the channel. And yes, like I mentioned earlier in the video, please make sure to drop a comment and let me know, do you want me to do this episodic or do you want me to do this per issue? For moving forward, because next week I plan on just doing another single issue review because it's so long. But if you guys would rather me just sum it up into the next 3 or 4 issues into one video, I can definitely do that. I'm trying to keep it around that 20-25 minute mark. I don't want to go too long. At least according to the analytics, a lot of people drop off near the end. But let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you pick up yourself some coffee from coffeebrandcoffee.com. And with that being said, I'm Mark. You've been watching Coffee with Toys, and I'll see you later.
Let's go.